Hello and welcome.
Willkommen auf Meister der Schmiede.
I have no idea what you just said.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to spice up our intro story.
Well, as long as you don't say welcome back.
Willkommen aus. Or I'm not I'm not sure that actually means welcome back. Whatever. Hi, Snorri.
Hello. How are you doing?
So good. So good. We still have an episode in the Spank Bank. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're hobbying. We're painting. This is
well, you are.
No. Okay. We're playing games.
You are.
Oh no, Snorri, no! What have you been doing, Snorri?
I've been in bed with flu.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm actually. This is the first day I'm feeling really good. I've been completely out cold for almost a week, and that sucked.
Oh my god, that does suck.
Yeah.
That does suck. So, you're feeling a little bit better, just enough to record an episode.
I'm actually feeling quite good now. I'm still my nose is still not feeling great. I'm still coughing a bit, and my back still hurts a little bit when I cough. You know, when I'm coughing, I like have this whole sneezing.
Your whole body goes.
Yeah, exactly. I have this jerking motion. And I was like, oh, my back, ouch. So yeah, that sucks. But it's fine.
Yeah.
Do
you have anything planned? Do you have anything coming up?
I think it will be after next time we record an episode, but I've been signed up to a doubles tournament. One of the guys at the club asked on our club page if anyone was interested in joining, and generally I don't like to do tournaments, and I've done this one time before, and we basically won the wooden spoon that time. This was another partner, but I was like, I'm
multiple
going to it.
40K partners, Snorri? Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I'm a total hoe.
You're gonna catch a disease. Oh wait, no, they're gonna catch a disease, aren't they?
Yeah, considering I've got the flu now, I'm probably not going to be spreading many germs, at least flu germs, in the next couple of weeks. But
your models are.
Exactly. I do play Death Guard. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because he's playing. I keep doing them. I need to stop doing that.
Really?
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with Californians too much, Snorri.
No, actually, I haven't hung out with any Californians lately.
At all is too much. At all.
Yeah. Too much. Oh, now watch it. I'm gonna sick Jim on you. No, but it really.
Jim's doing real good. Did you see? He posted. He's lost so much weight. I'm so jealous. Yeah. I'm so jealous. He said all he does is drink water, eat sensibly, and walk 3 miles a day. I mean, that's freaking awesome. That's kind of what I'm doing, except I'm only doing like 1 mile a day. I need to crank it up.
Yeah, but hey, at least you're doing a mile instead of sitting at home all the time.
Yeah, and now that I'm not doing commissions anymore, I'm getting a lot more in, so that's good.
And you have 2 dogs now. That also helps.
They're a lot of effort.
Yeah.
They really are.
Anyways, congratulations, Jim. Huge improvement, and nice. I can't wait to see you in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm super excited to meet Jim too.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun. Anyways, yeah, the pairing is he's playing Dark Angels and I'm playing Death Guard. So
that's apt.
Yeah, that's they are. I'm pretty convinced they are actually heretics, but that's me. But what was I going to say?
Come the apocalypse? Is that what they are? Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So with the allies chart saying we're come the apocalypse, we can't share psychic powers. We have to deploy at least 12 inches from each other. I'm glad that he's playing, I think, mostly Deathwing and Raven Guard. So that's going to be a lot of deep striking and outflanking.
Yeah. So and also, he's gonna have the Raven Guard and the and
Not
the
Raven Guard.
or sorry, he's gonna have the Raven Wing and the Death Wing. So you're probably not gonna be too close to each other a lot of the time.
No, I hope to just deploy in one end and just storm across the table and punch stuff in the face.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be good.
It's going to be interesting to see how many people have listened to this podcast, because I'm pretty much laying out what our strategy might end up being. So
it's all right. You're
it's
playing two Come the Apocalypse allies in a team tournament. I don't think anybody needs to. I don't think anybody's gonna really gain anything from hearing what you're taking.
And let's just see. It's generally a really friendly feel to this whole thing. It's not like hardcore.
Team tournaments should be kind of laid back.
Yeah, and I know 2 of the other guys from the club are also showing up. I don't know if they're going to be teamed up as a couple or if they are playing other people or playing with other people, but it's going to be... I don't think there's going to be too many teams there, and I think it's going to be pretty familiar faces all over the place kind of situation.
Cool. That's good. Well, we've both been planning for Adepticon. I'm sure, I don't know if the listeners are sick of us talking about it.
Well, I don't really have much choice.
Yeah, we're doing our drink orders, right? I think I'm gonna be getting it's really great. Terrace gets a local business to get your order together, and they'll have all our purchases ready for us at the hotel, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I hear rumors of you ordering a jug of Kraken?
Oh yeah, we got to release the Kraken. Yeah, we'll get the Kraken. Gotta have Kraken, and maybe a bottle of wine for myself, and some beer for the room, because we'll at least have people up at least once during the weekend, and we'll probably do some recording or something. We'll need some brewskis. And Wendy ordered me a flasky today.
What is that?
A flask. It's she ordered it from ThinkGeek. It's a Nintendo Game Boy flask. It is awesome.
One of the good old hip flasks, really, just geeked up.
Yeah, just for hanging around, when we're playing or whatever, we're just chilling. Like, oh, maybe we want to put some Kraken in this. Sometimes you just got to add a little love to your drink.
Yeah.
I love not having to drive.
Yeah, and also, is it 4 or 5 weeks?
So close. It's coming up quick, man.
Yeah, it's frightening.
It's coming up quick. I'm freaking in the middle of painting. I'm slowly getting through my WOG Tuska orcs that I'm adding to my combat patrol list, and it's I'm trying to work on the Titans, but every once in a while I get a little distracted by these orcs. They're looking really cool. I'm gonna be using them as commandos because Adepticon dropped the rules for the team tournament, and there will be, or not the team tournament, the combat patrol, and summoning is not going to be a thing. So, that's a good thing, but that also means I have to come up with a different way to tell the story. So I'm just basically going to say they're commandos and use their infiltrate as that's them appearing out of the warp. When they infiltrate, they appear out of the warp to assist the orcs. So that'll be cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually wondering when they were going to release those, the packet for the combat patrol, because that's been lacking. Same thing, I think, with the Battlefleet Gothic thing.
Yeah, I checked the Battlefleet Gothic thing. There's nothing there except for the text that was there before. So I still don't know if this gentleman is there. There's no email or anything. So I don't know if this gentleman's going to just bring all the ships and have all of us kind of participate, or if we're going to bring our own ships, or if it's going to be one big battle, or if it's going to be a bunch of games. I don't know. I guess we'll have to contact Adepticon and ask them to have have this person email all of us and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so
a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, and since we're requesting it now, we expect a email in either Adam's or my inbox, private inbox, of course, by yesterday.
You must do it now.
Isn't that how it's done now on the internet? We just demand.
Yes, we're internet famous now. We're like Y-list internet celebrities now, so it's got to happen. Yeah, so we got that going on for us. We've secured our tables for our like podcaster like game day time thing, so that'll be fun. We're gonna get together and have some games together.
That's the one where Tom Cruise is coming, and
Tom Cruise is going to come, yeah.
Yeah, apparently, right. Well, this makes completely no sense to anyone other than those who have been invited to the event, but was it the cover photo is basically Carl with Tom Cruise's face photoshopped on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Tom Cruise is coming.
Tom Cruise is coming. So that'll be fun. Well, sometimes Tom Cruise body doubles for Carl when he can't make it to a game because, Tom Cruise has a lot to thank Carl for that scene in Top Gun when he did the volleyball montage. So I've been working on that Dark Heresy adventure for the first evening of role playing. Not a lot though. I've been just kind of reading. I need to just this weekend sit down and do it on Sunday so that I can run my guys through it on the next Saturday. I'm having a bunch of guys come over to play it, and we're gonna run through it. They asked me, they're like, "Do I need experience?" I'm like, no, because I need it to be accessible to people who've never played it before, at the dinner. So I'm making everybody chicken Alfredo, and we're gonna play Dark Heresy and play test this mission or adventure, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I replied to Tara's email about that event, and because I hadn't noticed that there was a questionnaire at the bottom of the email where you talked about this. I was like, do you have any experience role-playing? Was it like Geek Nation tours and not having? It's like, no, that can't be. But I do have a little bit of experience with the Rogue Trader system, so... but not much, and it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm totally looking forward to this.
Cool.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. I've almost got those. I got a lot of work done on those Titans, dude. Like they're starting to get there. We got a terrain build and repair day coming Monday for the tournament coming up. But I haven't been to the store in 3 weeks. Like I haven't played a single game in 3 weeks until last night when Jason came over to have a game with me. He wanted to try out his Highlander list for the upcoming tournament. So we did that, and that was a lot of fun. I just put together like a whatever list, some lavas, some boys and trucks, etc. I'm not going to get into it because I have a full blog post that you guys can read if you go on the Masters of the Forge Facebook page. If you want to read that battle report, go ahead. We have a long episode coming up though. And I'm almost done with missions for the Star Trek Attack Wing tournament. Thanks to Robin, Pat, and Terry for agreeing to help me by looking at them. Terry also gave us a shout out on her vlog, which was really awesome. Thank you very much to her. I hope it's filling up a little bit, but I really hope some more people. We still have some spaces, so tell your friends if they're interested in either Star Trek or Star Wars. Just give it a try. It's a lot of fun. I have a big Deep Space Nine miniature, which is like $100 value as the main prize. So that's going to be awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I'm kind of tempted to suggest that if you don't have any friends, then invite your enemies to join.
Yeah, because it's like a faction pure thing. So all of your ships are going to have. You can't really mix You can't put like a Federation captain on a Klingon ship or anything like that without it bending over backwards to do it. So be sure to check out the rules for that tournament for your building your fleets.
So no Minbaris in Y-Wings?
Yeah, that would be crazy. Dude, I love Farscape. Seriously.
Oh, you seriously? I have this recorded. Farscape, Minbari. Yeah, I'm talking about Babylon 5 here.
Oh, is that Babylon 5? I think there's an Minbari. I think there's a Minbari race in Farscape too. I don't. We'll have to see.
I haven't watched the entire.
Tell me, am I a heretic or not? Let me know.
Yeah, I haven't watched the entire Farscape yet, so I don't know. But Babylon 5, I've watched a couple of times.
Okay. Yeah, I watched Babylon 5 when it first came out, and like when it came out exactly at the same time as Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And I couldn't. I was a little kid, and I'm just like, I am not interested in politics. I'm gonna watch Star Trek.
Okay, I was the exact opposite. I was like, I like the Next Generation. Deep Space Nine just never struck a tone with me. So Babylon 5, on the other hand, was like awesome.
Nice. So yeah, I was really glad to see that she gave us that shout out, and everybody's gonna help me play the games, try them out. But I'm really looking forward to Adepticon, dude. This is gonna be rad. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna storm that peak, man. It's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna leave nothing but destruction in our wake.
Empty beer cans.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say
it'll
anything.
be a frozen wasteland of empty beer cans, broken bottles, and crushed dreams. And also, no, I'm not gonna go there. But just, you know what, dude? It'll be just like what happens when the Folka Fenrica land on a planet because you've been bold. That was called a segue, Snorre. That was a segue. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, Adam. And tonight's show is all about something we pretty much promised we would never do, even though we technically didn't promise exactly. But we have more or less said that we're not going to do Codex reviews. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many other podcasts doing that.
Yes.
So we did a Codex review.
This is gonna be a narrative Codex review. So yes. This segment tentatively is called From Codex to Table. So we'll look at the Codex and we'll discuss the fluff. And then we'll discuss whether or not we believe that the rules actually let you successfully reflect that fluff on the tabletop. And this will help, I think, disperse rumors about or just people complaining about rules, like the changes that happen, whether or not they were good for the fluff or not. And I know there's a lot of discussion, like right now there's a lot of discussion about the Blood Angels Assault Marines not being troops. Well, I very much look forward to our Blood Angels coverage sometime in the future so we could actually see whether that's really an appropriate conversation or not. So that's just kind of the thing I feel like we should be talking about and answering on the show. What do you think, Snorri?
I think we can do that. I think that we did actually find a couple of things with this codex that really was an improvement over the old Space Wolf Codex in terms of representing giving a good representation of how the Space Wolves actually are, instead of having basically the whole Grey Hunters are pretty much cheaper than Blood Claws situation that you had in the old Codex doesn't exist anymore, which is a lot more correct if you want to play Space Wolves in a fluffy manner.
Right.
There was the whole wolf cav thing that happened, but let's leave that for the discussion later.
No, totally. And I also want to mention that this is actually kind of similar to the Independent Characters Show of Force episodes.
It is, but at the same time, they cover a lot of different books and
Mm-hmm.
models and everything, and we limited ourselves a little bit. We didn't talk much about the other sources. It was mostly about the Games Workshop Codex.
Right, and I think that they do go into some real they do go into some competitive aspects. Like they talk about every aspect of the Codex and of the faction, where we really just center ourselves on talking about the the fluff and bringing that to life on the tabletop. And I think that that's our wheelhouse. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I mentioned it to Carl, and he's like, "Don't worry, man. I think when we're gone, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of buzzards circling the corpse." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, but hey, at least we were circling the corpse before it was dead.
Yeah, we were circling it when it was cool. We All right, we're hipster buzzards. We're buzzard hipsters. It's great. All right, let's launch into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that before the jokes get too bad.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We are a 40k podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news, and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40k scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast.
So we've been reading about the Space Wolves in our 2-episode sprint on Battle of the Fang, and we decided it might be good to follow that up with, a more detailed look at what you can do with the Space Wolf Codex and other Space Wolf sources to bring that army to life on the tabletop.
Yeah, pretty much. We're looking at how the Space Wolf Codex and the supplements and all the sources we can find from Games Workshop, actually, if they lend themselves to fluffy gaming the way we like it.
Right. So I think what we'll do is we're gonna take a few minutes to really just get into the Space Wolves in general, because I don't think we can do this without really having a really good idea, a really good definition of what we need to do, what we need to see when we're building a Space Wolves army. Now we're not trying to like pigeonhole anybody or force anybody into our vision of the Space Wolves, but at the same time there is a vision out there, and a lot of folks could be interested in just that, bringing that vision to life.
If we did anything to try to pigeonhole people, then we would violate the first rule of this podcast, which is play the game the way you want to.
That's right. Yeah, so if you have a vision for your great company, then go ahead, go with it, obviously. But this is more of a general understanding of who the Space Wolves are and whether or not the presented rules are capable of handling that situation. So, Snorri, what in your mind, what do you think of when you think of the Space Wolves? What comes to your mind?
A legion that I was really hesitant about, simply because they are presented as the Space Vikings. And, being Norwegian, I'm so used to the whole Hollywood image of Vikings. I was like horned helmets and running around with berserkers and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yawn. That's not how it was. And that's I guess that was kind of what I was afraid they were going to be, but wow, how wrong I was.
Yeah, they seem to have a very rich background, a very rich history. Like Fenris itself has a really interesting history. It's a death world, so anybody who lives there has to be tough. They have to be strong. And I guess in the early days it was populated with tribes of kind of warring factions, but they're all kind of equal in their, I guess, for want of a better word, badassery.
They were kind of nomadic, right?
Yeah,
because the whole idea of Fenris is this world that is part of the time it's just a frozen hell, and then you have a period where basically some kind of tectonic thing happens or something, and it becomes fire and lava, and there's only one place really that stays safe, and that's where the Fang is, that part of Fenris.
Asaheim, right? That's
yes.
on the northern pole, and that's the only. It's kind of a giant island continent that never breaks up, but the rest of the planet is torn to pieces, basically at least the crust is torn to pieces by the gravitational forces of the star that it orbits when it draws too close. Yeah, so it's a hellscape.
Yeah, and people can't really live in Asaheim all the time because it's a hellhole itself. Right. So they move back and forth between the more livable areas of the planet when they're livable, and then they escape to the safety of Asaheim when things go bad.
So this kind of engenders a nomadic tribal society of people who have very close-knit families, very close-knit groups that are very loyal to each other, because without that they would just die. And it's kind of a very extreme look, an extreme version of human society, right?
Yeah, but it also mimics Space Marine mentality in some way, right? That you have your battle brothers and they are your family, and if you can't trust them, then who can you trust? Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to do their best in order to survive, and I guess that's something that's so ingrained in these peoples that they kind of lend themselves to being space marines in the first place.
Right, and it's interesting because this continues the strange way in which each of the Primarchs kind of find just the right world for them when they're scattered to the four winds. So yeah. when Russ, well, who would be Russ, lands on this planet, he should have died. He should have been dead, but instead he finds this pack of wolves who basically, take him in after he kills a bunch of them in single combat. And Lehman Russ is raised by wolves. So, okay.
Yeah. Lionel Johnson was raised by potentially warpy beings. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, a little parallel there, right?
Yeah. For some reason, it seems like all the forces of chaos seem to have placed all the Primarchs in the perfect places for them to be either really good or really bad. Mm-hmm. But it all seems to fit them so perfectly. So it's like, you could have put them in the absolutely wrong place. For example, Fulgrim, you could have placed him on a planet where nobody cares about anything in terms of like looks and the whole perfection thing, and he would be so alienated. Mm-hmm. But he apparently grows up in a place where perfection is the thing. So it just fits him. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of makes one wonder if it truly were it was, if there was some kind of force behind their finding a good home, even though the forces of chaos spread them to the four winds.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
But yeah, Fenris being modeled to a certain degree on barbarians, and more specifically given the Norse feel that it has. There's wolves, there's the feral nature of the space wolves themselves, there's rage. It does speak to some of the cliches, I guess, of Vikings, but at the same time, I think we're also looking at a codex written by a country that was invaded by these guys a couple of times.
Could be, and one can attribute some of those more idiosyncratic features maybe to the wolf side rather than the Norse side.
Yeah,
and I think
I'd
like to do that. I mean, even though you're probably right. It's probably some kind of prejudice involved there somewhere. But it is nice to just say, well, this is the wolfy stuff, and it's got this cool Nordic feel to it, and it would make sense that it'd be kind of like that, just because the environment that they're in really lends itself to that, and it's kind of logical in a way.
Yeah.
It's cold. They're relying on their senses. They're relying on their natural abilities, to survive, and they're always on the hunt for resources, for food, and even just the right weather to survive in the entire time. And that's really what they're doing. And it is very wolfy. It is very, already the society is set up to kind of mimic the wolves. And when that one tribe, the tribe of Russ, arrives on the scene and starts slaughtering his pack, and he defends them, it's kind of fitting, because he easily integrates himself with that tribe and eventually becomes its leader.
Yeah. And where's the pack mentality or the structure thing? I was going to go there, but I'm not sure quite how to go in there.
Well, so what we could say is, and then, since him having been a part of that, pack structure, the Space Wolves are, when the Allfather arrives on the planet and tells him he's gonna be the leader of this giant legion of troops of supermen, he starts molding it in his image, this pack mentality that kind of resists a very rigid structure. They have to be fast. They have to be able to react to any kind of threat, because they are the Emperor's kind of assassin, not assassin squad, but more like
executioners.
Yeah, they're the executioners. They are the brute squad, and they have to be ready for that. They have to be flexible. They have to be fierce. They have to give no quarter, right?
Yeah, and also living on Fenris, you can't really build a city anywhere except for in Asaheim, where you can't really survive in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really structure society like you would in most civilized places, simply because life just doesn't allow, or the environment just doesn't allow that kind of structure.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's part of the whole resistance to the whole Codex Astartes, which we're going to cover in a short while.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you want to move on to like a few particulars of what's been going on with the Legion itself, and we keep on using that word Legion, and with the Space Wolves, it really almost is like they are still a Legion, isn't it?
They are a Legion,
right?
They're not called the Space Wolf chapter. They're called the Space Wolf Legion. It just doesn't say it on the cover of the Codex anymore, but. They are a Legion. Mm-hmm. Let's not kid ourselves. They are a Legion. They are actually one of two legions of loyal Space Marines at the moment. The other one being Black Templars.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, Adam, all the legions have special traits, and the Wolves are the executioners. That's how they're being portrayed, at least. But I've been listening to After Olenor a lot lately, and they've been talking a little bit about the different legions there in the 30k sense. And I really have to say that there are a lot of parallels between at least some of the legions before they are being broken up after the Horus Heresy. because the Space Wolves do have a lot of similarities to the World Eaters. They are both brutal, but the Space Wolves, they have sort of an honor system to their brutality. It's not like they're not being brutal for the sake of being brutal. That's the World Eaters. But they are still, they will punch first and ask questions later. You have, for example, the Imperial Fists. They are similar to the Iron Warriors. So you have you have Loyalist and Renegade Space Marine chapters, or in this case, Legions, that have overlapping traits.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was kind of interesting to see how similar, yet how different they are, even though they're completely different leaders behind them.
Right, and even in Battle of the Fang, when Wormblade is talking to Morik about the truth behind the Space Wolves, he describes each faction, each legion, as having almost a flaw in its helix. And even though a lot of the other Space Wolves, or a lot of the other Space Marines, you really can't tell, but everybody has their special difference that makes them special for what kind of warrior the Emperor needs at any given time. And for the Space Wolves, that is the helix. And I don't think it's on accident. I don't think the Emperor did that on accident. I think all of these idiosyncrasies are definitely on purpose.
It's quite possible.
Yeah. And, I have my own conspiracy theories regarding the fragility of the Space Marine kind of social psyche, but I'm not sure the listeners want to hear that.
That's something we can have as an open discussion after the drunken celebrity podcaster karaoke session we're having at the Depticon.
We'll have a conspiracy theory chat.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of the drunken celebrity podcaster karaoke charity event, John from Overlords has said he'll be there and he will participate. Whee!
That's gonna be
still need a few more, but at least we have definitely have Carl and John now, plus you and me, and I'm pretty sure we can convince Jason.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe even a Don. Hey, he's going to be there.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. We could even have some of the why don't we mend some bridges and have some other podcasts involved, and we'll just spring it on everybody else. Also, well, I guess that won't work because I just said it.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Space Wolves.
Okay. So I guess what's really interesting here is that the Space Wolves put untold numbers of worlds into the Emperor's compliance. They are unparalleled in their ability to just roll in, working up a number 6 on people. But I think their crowning moment and their most one of their most reviled moments is the campaign at Prospero.
Yeah, it was just deception by Horus that was meant to bring down Magnus the Red because Horus saw him as a threat, and also to keep the Space Wolves busy so that they didn't interfere with his own plans other places. And I don't think the Space Wolves really want to admit that they were played. Also, it really plays on that strained relationship that the Space Wolves have with the whole concept of the warp. That their own psychic abilities are not warp-based. They are the weird. And the Thousand Sons have, despite being warned about using these powers, they're still using them. Mm-hmm. And that's just... You can't do that to the Emperor, and the Space Wolves being something of the internal police they just have to do something about that. And yeah, like they said, and like we've covered in the book, that failure to bring down the Thousand Sons at Prospero, I think that was a real defeat for them.
Mm-hmm. Even though they kind of called it a success, it wasn't like it wasn't really a full success. And the fact that they were hoodwinked, I mean, these guys get hoodwinked multiple times in their history, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's someone out there, you know, or multiple someones sending them out on these great hunts, which there have been like 30, and it all started when Leman Russ first disappeared after the heresy. One day he's just sitting at his dining table or whatever, he's sitting at the board drinking mead or whatever, and he gets this like far away look in his eyes, and he just stands up, gathers all his generals, all his his closest generals except for what's his name, Bjorn. He leaves Bjorn and he pieces out. Doesn't tell anybody where he's going. He just pieces out. And only a short years later, like 4 to 7 years later, Bjorn calls the first great hunt to go find him. Never finds him, but during these great hunts, they achieve so many amazing feats of daring and heroism that the great hunts almost become an end in and of themselves.
And of course, this is going to be covered in a 40k End Times book by Graham McNeil, coming to you soon.
Yeah, called The Wolf Time. Because that's what they call the time that we're living in, the wolf time. And it really harkens to, you know, the grim dark future where everything is kind of going to heck. And
I think there's a bit of Mordecai in there, yes.
Yeah, he's got his hand in things, and you know, it's all about his hairy balls. Sorry. But no, yeah, you know, right now, I mean, depending on how GW's handling it, the Space Wolves either involved themselves in or will involve themselves in the 13th Black Crusade, which is either coming up or already done, depending on what GW's deciding to do with that bit of the fluff.
It's in the early stages.
Okay.
They're all time back. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that, actually.
So what kind of stuff, in the 41st millennium, what kind of stuff have the Space Wolves involved themselves in?
Well, they seem to bang heads with the ecclesiarchy every now and then.
Oh my goodness. And the freaking, and the Ordos, too, of the Inquisition.
And Dark Angels.
And so let's just fight everybody who's supposed to be our friend. Let's just do that.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I would call the Inquisition or the Ecclesiarchy or friends, but no. The Dark Angels, at least, they should be friends, but everyone should hopefully by now know why the Space Wolves and the Dark Angels don't really get along.
No. Well, okay, so first of all, Ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition. This is something I admire about the Space Wolves, because both the Ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition, let's face it, those guys are jerks. Okay? They're extremist jerks, and the universe, even though the Imperium kind of does need them in the kind of universe that the Space Wolves live in, they're still kind of, it's a bit much, folks. It's a bit much, you know. But the Dark Angels, for the first time, I actually read both sections in the two codexes, and it does seem to be a slightly different skew on the story depending on which codex you read.
Of course.
Yeah, so like the Dark Angels Codex says, well, Russ and the Lion fought, and you know they had this 2-day fist fight or whatever, and Russ laughs at him, and the Lion knocks him out, and ever since that day, Russ has had this spirit of vengeance against, and the Space Wolves had this spirit of vengeance against the Dark Angels. On the other hand, the Space Wolves looked at it more of a respectful manner, and I think it's kind of harkens to what we were talking about with the Space Wolves in the battle cages, how they have this fight and they might even almost kill each other, but once that rage kind of clears from their minds, that wolf within, they laugh about it and they're able to be brothers again. And
yeah.
I think the Dark Angels really hold that grudge more than the Space Wolves do, even though it's come to blood since then.
Yeah, the way I just imagine that whole scene, or the scene after Lionel Johnson punches Lehman Russ, simply as the Space Force going like, what was that about? Exactly. It's like,
I guess you got one loss. Over on me.
Yeah. It's sort of like, yeah, okay, so that's sort of their loss, but the fight was good. It lasted for 2 days. It was entertaining.
Yeah. All right. So, aside from basically going on these great hunts every century or so, there's really not been much else involving them except the Battle of the Fang, which we already discussed, and basically every they're able to go on they've gone on 1 million campaigns, which trying to describe every one of them would be impossible. But suffice to say, they're very effective in what they do.
Yeah, they've been instrumental in the Third War for Armageddon, and they're also heavily involved in the 13th Black Crusade.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You would expect everyone to be involved in the 13th Black Crusade on one side or the other, but Space Wolves especially.
Well, Space Wolves, the entire chapter has been dedicated. Yeah, sorry, the entire Legion has been dedicated to that war.
Yep.
So we're gonna take a quick break and come back and talk about the Space Wolf combat doctrines.
Interested in the offbeat world of 40K? Is your bits box full of 20-year-old space elves? Have you ever searched for something out of production 40K on eBay? Well, hold on to your zotes and head over to Corsair Radio. It covers the full scope of the hobby, homebrew rules, fluff, campaigns, oddball models, and more. From Terra to the Eye of Terror, visit us at corsairradio.blogspot.com. That's corsairradio.blogspot.com.
Combat doctrines.
Yeah. So I think it's actually kind of easy to imagine the overall combat doctrine of the Space Wolves. I think it has something to do with Rarg.
Yeah. Basically, they do whatever they have to do to win the fight.
Yeah, it's very different from, say, Ultramarine.
Yes. And I guess that just reflects where the planet they're from, simply because you have to adapt to whatever situation you're being dealt, or else you won't survive.
Yeah. They don't follow the Codex Astartes at all.
Yeah.
In fact, like a lot of the Space Wolves that are in certain packs or certain roles choose to stay there their entire lives. That's not to say that they do on naturally I'm always gonna be a Bloodclaw. No, but like sometimes they do choose to stay in a single role. Others do have aspirations to be Wolfguard.
Yeah, and Lehman Russ was one of the most vocal opponents of the whole Codex Astartes when Guilliman wrote it.
I mean, it was just lucky that the Legion just can't have successors anyways. So
yeah, no, I don't think he would have broken up his Legion anyways. I don't see that as much of a possibility.
No, and good luck for anybody who tries to do it. Even back when there were those like struggles to put people in compliance with the Codex Astartes. I can imagine Guilliman stepping up to Lehman Russ saying, you have to, here, take this book. You have to break your Legion up. I'm telling you what you have to do.
Yeah.
Lehman Russ just looking at him like, really? I have to do what? Well, I mean, you could at least try, give it a try. You might like it. Yeah, I might like it. Yeah, sure, buddy. I'll take your book. And then he takes it back to Fenris and just pees on it or something.
Yeah, the Space Wolves, they have their own way of doing a lot of things.
Yeah, and nobody wants to be on the business end of the Space Wolves. You just don't want to be on their business end because they will tear you up.
Yeah.
The Emperor made them to be his executioners, and it would be very difficult for any chapter to try and... let's just say the galaxy is lucky that the Space Wolves were not on the side of Horus during the heresy. That's for darn sure.
So, the Codex Astartes has a really rigid plan for how to train Space Marines, and you can just forget about that when you go to Fenris.
Yeah.
Because whereas the Codex Astartes says that Space Marines start out as scouts, and then they move up to Assault Marines, then they become Devastators, and then they become regular Space Marines, simply because then they've learned all the different weapons so that they become the perfect soldiers.
Yep.
With the Space Wolves, they just say, oh, here's some steroids and some other fun stuff. Here's some power armor. Have fun.
Yeah.
And if you survive that long enough, then they have an idea what kind of person you are.
So, yeah, it's actually really interesting how it works out. Like, they actually, the rune priests plumb their brains and make them go through these mental trials before they become Astartes. They actually seek out, they find people who are good aspirants, and they seek out people with great bravery and skills and physical prowess and everything, but they send them on these psychic vision quests that seek out their worst qualities and see if they can overcome their flaws. And those that do, they move on and they basically are given the Canis Helix and dumped 1,000 miles away from the Fang, and whoever makes it back gets to be a Space Marine.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's an interesting initiation. And when these Blood Claws have pretty much fought for so long that they have actually proven that they're useful for something, then people have an idea what they can be used for. They become, for example, Swift Claws, which are the Space Wolf bike squad. Mm-hmm. And they are used for, lightning raids, tracking, and everything. Mm-hmm. And you have Sky Claws, which are the Assault Marines. Mm-hmm. And those are for the Blood Claws that just can't be helped. They are just too crazy to be anything else. So,
I thought that was interesting. It really reminds me of my fluff for the Star Eagles.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, except the Space Wolves actually have hope for their Sky Claws, where the Star Eagles do not.
Yeah.
The Star Eagles who go into the eighth company are pretty much given up on, where the Blood Claws, who are Sky Claws, they actually are sent on quests, dangerous quests, and hopefully the leadership hopes that these quests teach them something.
Yeah, that will temper their fire a little bit.
Exactly. I thought that was a really interesting. But Swift Claws, they actually a lot of Blood Claws actually just stay Swift Claws. They're like, I'm riding a bike. This is awesome.
Yeah. The more well-rounded Blood Claws become Grey Hunters, which are the equivalent of regular tactical Marines. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of these people stay for a long time.
Yeah.
But, as they grow old and weary and grumpy, let's face it, they sometimes decide that, close combat and the adrenaline and everything, it's not really all that exciting anymore.
I'm too old.
Yeah, I'm too old for this crap. Screw it.
Chewing a cigar, I'm too old for this crap.
Exactly. They sometimes decide to become Long Fangs because then they can enjoy the battle from a little bit further away and play with some big toys.
Yep. And then during the battle, the Longfangs, they can use their Vox relay to tell all the young folk that their brains are writing checks their body can't cash, etc., 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 and all those really cool memes.
Yeah.
Tropes.
And you also have the Scouts, which are probably the oldest and grumpiest people there is in the Legion. Because these are so old and grumpy, they are basically not sociable anymore, and they just don't want to be around other Space Marines anymore.
No.
So, but that also makes them really great, because since they don't really like to be around other people, they tend to go out, live under the open skies, sleep and hunt outdoors all the time, and, relays reports back home about where the enemy is, and, guerrilla raids, and all that's good stuff that you also sometimes do when you're a Space Marine. Yeah. So it's really, the Codex Astartes pretty much turned upside down.
So basically the Grey Hunters, the Blood Claws, the Longfangs, and the Wolf Guard. The Wolf Guard are basically the veterans. They really form the backbone of a Space Wolves force. Like every great company possesses these kinds of packs. And that kind of gives you the idea that every one of these great companies kind of possesses the tools they need to wage war independently.
Yes, Adam. I was thinking about you have the 12 great companies, and they all have all these units in them, but they also have a theme, each of them. Some of them have a great number of Fenrisian wolves and wolf cavalry. Some of them are heavy with Skyclaws. So it seems like they reflect their wolf lords a little bit in their preferred fighting style, where it seems like you end up in a great company that reflects your combat doctrine or your personal preference in combat doctrine.
Yeah, and you can almost see how that happens over time, where it's so informal that it really doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of like real cliques or friendships where someone new takes over a great company, and some of the Space Wolves under that commander kind of break away and join someone else. But other Space Wolves hear of the deeds of this new commander and break away from their own company and move towards them, kind of naturally keeping balance between the great companies. And I'm sure there's some micromanagement of leadership involved here. Like, no, you have to go to this great company, you have to go to this great company, or I think that your abilities are better suited here rather than there. But I can see it kind of being very informal, and the numbers of each great company being in flux at any given time.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole moving between the great companies, but I would definitely say that whoever leads the great company probably is brought up through the ranks and is in that mindset already.
That's probably very true. Well, that's probably the case, and a lot of the the features of a great company probably have been maintained for centuries. But that's not to say that the first company doesn't have great warriors in it who might sometimes take control of a company and change it to their own views.
I'm pretty sure that some changes are made when the when the great company gets a new wolf lord. It's
inevitable, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this kind of cool way that they've set up these packs, the Grey Hunters, Blood Claws, etc., is really well represented in the model line, don't you think, Snorri?
Yeah. I was looking over the model line today, and the only thing I didn't really find, which isn't really a big thing, was Swift Claws. Because Swift Claws would be regular or Space Wolves on Space Marine bikes. So it's just a big case of mix and match a couple of kits, and
put
you
some
have
heads on.
Yeah, well, you need some pelts and some furry stuff that can hang on the bikes and everything. Right. So you can just bling them out with bits you have here and there, but I guess that's why they don't have a special kit for it. Maybe the bikes would be slightly different. It's like have some of those,
wolf
jagged
tails.
Yeah. Well, wolf tails. I was thinking also about like wolf's head heraldry molded onto the bikes, maybe, or some of the when you look at their shoulder pads, they have these jagged icon things, and that's kind of missing from these bikes. But you can always paint that on.
Right, and it's weird. It's interesting, like the way that GW has made their box, their troop box, really lends itself to being able to kit bash those bikes, because the same box that makes the Grey Hunters also makes the Blood Claws. So you're probably going, if you're going to make a Space Marine army, you're probably going to have some Grey Hunters. So you can take the Blood Claw bits and put them on your Swift Claw bikers or speeders, and use them for that.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. I really like that, and the bits in that box are just crazy.
Yeah.
These models are so wolfy.
They are. They've really gone all out on that whole primal feel to it, the whole rune with the runes and all the totems and wolf skulls.
Yeah, I think folks thought that the 5th edition release of the Blood Angels was really cool, and GW stepped up their game. But then when the Space Wolves came out with these boxes, it was like cranked to like 9 or 10 at that point. Like, people were like, oh, is this where we're going with the model range now? Nice. Yeah, and these models are gorgeous. What I want to really point out is a recent release of these the Long Fang box. Now, I'm sure some folks out there who are more competitive minded were thinking, what did we need this for? And I know that because at first I thought the same thing. But the fact that the Long Fangs are legitimately older space wolves with a rich background and a rich history, it really makes sense that they would have their own box instead of just using the Devastator kit.
What's the name of that box? I'm trying to find it.
Do Space Wolves heavy support, and it's there. Space Wolves Long Fang.
Oh, okay. I was looking for Long Fangs, not Space Wolf Long Fangs.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not much of
I totally agree.
Okay, sorry, dude.
No. Yeah, I totally agree with you. The whole old guy with the big beards look really suits these models. And you also have all the Space Wolf bits with the pelts and the shoulder pads. Oh, speaking of shoulder pads, Space Wolves actually have proper custom shoulder pads that you can buy. It looks like some of them are still metal, but still, they got shoulder pads.
Yeah, they have shoulder pads. They have a very small Forge World footprint, though. You can get a really cool upgrade kit with 2 Rhino doors, a Land Raider doors, decals, brass etch, and some chest and head replacements for the Terminators. For something like $100, which is not too bad for Forge World, but it's kind of expensive. They've also got some cool tanks that most Space Marines can take, and also the Dreadnought, the Space Wolf Venerable Dreadnought, which is pretty cool. Nothing like some of the crazy Dark Angels stuff they have, or anything like that, but they're still pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I would say that the model range is heavily representative of the Space Wolves, and there's really they've really knocked it out of the park with this faction.
Yeah, and speaking of other stuff that you can get, they Games Workshop have released a couple of books for the Space Wolves. You have the Codex Space Wolves, of course, and you have the Companies of Fenris paint guide. Not really sure about that one, but the Champions of Fenris book is one that I've completely overlooked. I've purchased every single Codex and those basic supplements for my collection. And this one, the Champions of Fenris book, I just like, it's a couple of guys and some stuff. And I was talking to Preben, the club member, Space Wolf playing club member yesterday, and he was like, this book is definitely worth it. Not so much for the Force Org that you have in there, the 8 elite slot Terminator crazy one, and not so much for the formations. They're nice, and he wanted to try those. The relics he likes, but the real reason why he got it was the warlord traits.
Nice.
So I was just like, what? I need to pick this book up just to see what he's actually talking about, because yes, I've been sniffing Space Wolves a little bit to see if I actually want to have just a small contingent of them, just for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's a neat book and has some cool stuff in it. What else do we have? We've got 2. I think there's just 2 Imperial Armor books. One's the standard Imperial Armor 2, Machines of the Space Marines or something, Adeptus Astartes, and also we have Imperial Armor 11, the Doom of Mimiara, where the only rules in there are for Bran Redmaw, who basically he's got the Wolfen under control, the Wolf Within under control, kind of. Sort of. It comes out during battle, but he's able to repress it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But aside from that, that's about it. I can't. If the listeners can think of any other sources that have Space Wolf materials, let us know.
Let's not forget Black Library. They have quite a bit of Space Wolf love. They actually have a 40k category for Space Wolves. So if you go into Warhammer 40,000. Along with, Space Marines battles, Ultramarines, Salamanders, and everything, Space Wolves. So, and there's quite a bit in here. And the thing that really got me interested in Space Wolves was after reading Battle of the Fang for the first time. It just completely changed my look on the Space Wolves, as these aren't the cheesy Space Vikings I was expecting. These are actually really good characters, and the whole feel of them just speaks to me in some strange way. After that, I've read Blood of Asaheim. I'm almost done with a book called Wolves of Fenris, which is a collection of short stories by Chris Wright. And soon, hopefully, I'll be plowing through Stormcaller, which is the follow-up to Blood of Asaheim.
Well, that sounds good. I should really look into those. I really enjoyed Battle of the Fang, and I'm really thinking about starting a small allied contingent myself.
Yeah, that's always a sign of a good book. The Facebook ranting about like, damn you, Black Library, you made me buy another army. So yeah. Definitely there's a lot of good stuff from Black Library. The books that they've been releasing for the last, several years now are so good that you almost can't go wrong. I'm not going to say you can't go wrong, because you can always go wrong, but for the most part, these books are really good, and they will really inspire you. Cool.
So, I guess we can move on to kind of talking about some of the rules of the book, and talking about how we think that it gels with the background that we just discussed. I'm not sure where to start. I guess the basic thing is general army building. There are a few detachments that you can use in the Codex. One of in the core Codex, the big detachment is the Wolves Unleashed, which allows you to have up to 6 HQs, and everything else is pretty much normal after that. And the compulsory is 2 HQs and 2 troops. And I'm wondering if this is necessary. I mean, it's not really necessary. Like, how many chiefs do you need? It does let you take. I mean, it lets you take. I think it's in the spirit of it if you're taking a smattering, right? So if you're taking a Wolf Lord, a Iron Priest, a wolf priest, a rune priest, and maybe several Wolfguard battle leaders, which is a low level, commander that you can attach to units. I would say it's not really meant to bring multiple wolf lords.
No, and that's but that's one of the things I was talking to Preben about yesterday, that you can easily make some interesting, very thematic lists with this codex. It's no problem at all.
No, it's not.
Because let's just go back to Battle of the Fang. We were talking about in the first episode, we were talking about these groups of space wolves coming out of the Fang and just harrying the Thousand Suns and their Spire Guard. And you had Blood Claws led by a more veteran soldier, but you wouldn't expect Greylock to be on the table. He's inside the Fang commanding the battle. But you need someone slightly elevated in terms of command structure to actually lead the people who are out on the mountain. So a Wolfguard battle leader is the perfect person because he's more senior than just a sergeant in a squad of Bloodclaws, but he's not quite general yet.
Yeah, no.
So
I think that's
there's
great.
Yeah, and the wolf priests, they're something between chaplain and an apothecary. It wouldn't be out of place to have a couple of those on the table at once, but they're not really someone I would say would be a general for the people you have on the table. So there have to be several HQ slots to fill certain things in a fluffy list. I really think that the way the Codex is put together with what's in each of the Force Org slots, I think that it's not out of place to have that many HQ slots.
No, it's not. And again, though, and even though it would be, it's fun and it works and it's actually pretty competitive. I think it's best used when taking a smattering of different HQs rather than just loading up on Wolf Lords or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just me projecting what I think of when I read this fluff and when I read the book and stuff. I think a lot of the formations are a little uninspired. It's like a lot of them involve adding Wolfguard Terminators and giving them something to drive in and an HQ to be attached to. It's like there's one for the Great Wolf, there's one for Ulrich or whatever, and they put him either in a Land Raider or a Storm Wolf or whatever. There's even one there's one called the Wolfguard Thunderstrike, which is a squad of Wolfguard Terminators, a unit of Wolfguard, and a drop pod. And it's just like, yeah, it's interesting, but I think they're just kind of generic, and they could have been in any codex, to be honest.
Yeah.
But overall, I think just the units themselves in the core codex give you a really great template to start building your great company.
So yeah, Space Wolf specific rules and Warlord traits then.
Yes. So the main codex doesn't have any real like special rules. Even though every unit does have counterattack, every unit has acute senses and whatnot. There is no other special rules like army-wide rules. The Champions of Fenris do have some special rules that they follow. They get preferred enemy characters because they're always challenging. In fact, when Space Wolves and Chaos Space Marines fight, it's a big race to see who can challenge whom first.
Yeah.
And they also have their own relics and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Warlord traits are interesting. The old sagas have been rolled into the Warlord traits, which is not surprising.
No, I guess that was pretty much like the writing on the wall, but it was a controversial move Because a lot of Space Wolf players did not like that. They liked to cherry pick the sagas they wanted. Now they couldn't.
Yeah, and this I kind of tend to agree with them, Snorri. I don't want to beat on a negative drum here, but I feel like, and I think I've said this before, with GW's focus on character and building your own kind of stories, I feel like the rolled warlord traits are still just don't make any sense when you're talking about that viewpoint. And let's be honest, nothing is stopping as players you saying, okay, can I pick this warlord trait because it fits my character?
Yeah, exactly. In a friendly game between two people who know each other, there's nothing that prevents you from cherry picking these warlord traits as long as both parties agree.
Right. So say you have a campaign with your friend who plays Tyranids, and you're going through this whole Tyranid versus Space Wolf campaign, like a 3-game campaign. It would make sense that the commander of this force just automatically gets Saga of the Beast Slayer, where the warlord has the Monster Hunter special rule. Yeah. Right? I mean, it would just make sense. It doesn't give him too much of a bonus. It's just a cool thing that would be thematic and say, okay, this is the Space Wolf who hunts the big monsters, and he's here.
Yeah, he's there to put some Carnifex skulls on his wall.
Yeah, basically. So I think these are pretty good. There's one that gives you 6+ feel no pain, which is kind of generic. Outflanking stealth.
They call that feel no pain 6+ the Saga of the Bear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yes, it's generic as a rule, but it still feels correct for the Space Wolves. I think they really hit their mark when it comes to the right warlord traits, having the right names and the right rules to go with them to fit a Space Wolfy theme.
Mm-hmm. No, for certain. And I think even though some are more powerful than others, that's really not what we're worried about here at Masters of the Forge.
Yeah, we're not interested in gaming a codex. We're interested in making a themed list and having fun with it.
Yeah, that's right. As far as the war gear is concerned, we have a lot of relics. But first, before we talk about the relics, I think it's really interesting that the Space Wolves continue to have their frost weapons, which is neat. They're basically 5 points more than a regular weapon of the same type, except they're +1 strength. So a frost sword is 20 points, but gives you +1 strength, and a frost axe is also 20 points, but gives you +2 strength instead of +1. I think that's pretty cool.
It's like they're bringing Fenris with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They describe it as a razor sharp fangs of an ice kraken or a glacial shard of energized diamond. Whatever. I have a cold power sword that's super cold and makes you cold, and it's gonna hurt a lot.
Yep.
The relics are distinctly wolfy, or at least distinctly Space Wolfy. In general, you generally have some kind of archaic sounding piece of armor, or some kind of trinket, a doodad, or
some ancient wolfy weapon, or a weapon.
Yep, or some kind of icy weapon. Yeah, there are some like bolters in here, which are interesting.
Yeah, the Bite of Fenris.
Yeah, the Bite of Fenris. Over in the Relics of the Great Wolf for the supplement, we've got Frost Fury, which is an interesting weapon. Like they both have the Hellfrost rule, which is one of the special weapon rules in this book. But you have pelts and fetishes and stuff that give you rerolls or give you furious charge or rage. Very, very wolfy, very interesting, and I think these will really help you customize your spell character to be what you want it to be.
Yeah, speaking of rerolls, one of the big changes that they made from the old 5th edition codex to this current codex was the whole wolf banner situation.
Oh man.
Oh,
what a change, and a change for the better. Because in the old Codex, every single Grey Hunter squad could have a wolf banner, which was a single-use reroll everything. That is a reroll every one you get for, assaulting, hitting, shooting, saving, whatever, for that entire phase. That's or maybe it was the entire turn. Don't have the Codex because I didn't play Space Wolves back then. But I was talking about this talking to Preben about this yesterday, and he was like, "Wow."
Mm-hmm.
Now it's an 6-inch aura instead, so it's not a single use, which is kind of stupid for a banner. And the aura means that you're clumping together when you're assaulting, so it's kind of hard to get the aura to affect multiple units, and it really lends itself to that whole, you come in as just like a fist that just plows into one point. It's not like you're stretching out a nice big line to the sides and just charging into the enemy as a nice line.
Mm-hmm.
The wolves, to me, they just have this, it's a clump of people just running, screaming right into the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really the cool way to do it. That's really the fun way to, you got the banner out there, everybody's cheering, everybody sees it, and they rush headlong into combat.
You can only have one banner in the entire army now instead of having one in every single squad. So it becomes a little bit more. The Space Wolves don't have a command squad, and the way I see this is like a chapter banner.
Yeah. The only other stuff like that is in the warlord traits, like morale boosting elements, and there is a way to game it that I would suggest not using, and that's to hide it in a rhino and follow behind the line, and everybody gets it, and that's kind of cheap. I wouldn't do that. I would say it would make more sense for the banner to be on the field and people actually rallying to it.
Yeah, but that's gaming versus
right. This
having fun.
The banner should be in the vanguard, right? It should be it should be in the spear tip, along with the wolf guard and I guess also the blood claws just rushing forward, and hopefully everybody moving fast enough to gain the benefit of seeing that wolf standard waving in the breeze.
Yeah.
There's a cool model for it too. There's a cool model. I think it's fine cast, but I would suggest picking it up, because if you're going to do a Space Wolf army and you want that wolf banner, I would go ahead and pick up that model. It's really cool. So, I mean, we've talked about the special rules. We've talked about how the models really fit the fluff. I'm wondering, and we've talked about how the packs are divided up. Do you want to briefly discuss how the units reflect that combat doctrine, or that fluff?
Yeah, as long as we don't make it sound too much like a codex. That's
one of the things. That's one of the things about this segment that I think is going to be very important. We need to make sure that we're talking about building the lists and stuff. That, you know what, Snorri? Why don't we take a break and come back and talk about the lists we built, and in so doing also talk about the units at the same time.
Okay.
Is life in the hobby? Is life in the hobby? Narrative gaming is so much fun. That's the way it ought to be done. Is life in the hobby? Is live.blogspot.com.
So, I guess we're going to demonstrate just how lousy we are at making competitive lists by making fluffy lists.
I'm excited to see what you come up with, Snory.
Well, I've talked about it earlier today, and I decided to go with the whole blood claws and space gray hunters on the ice, fighting the enemy as they try to slow their advance into the Fang.
Cool. So kind of like reflecting what we saw in Battle of the Fang. I love it.
It's trying to duplicate that scene where you have both one squad of blood claws and one squad of gray hunters out there fighting, and well, one did well, one did not so well. So, let's see. My HQ is a Wolfguard battle leader because, as we talked about earlier today, I don't really see Greylock himself being out there, but he has someone out there who can keep tabs on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He has a pair of wolf claws, just in case, and that's pretty much the only upgrade he has. He's the warlord.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. Strength 5, freaking shred, super, like a hojillion attacks. That dude is awesome.
You know, it's Space Wolves.
Yeah.
So they should look kind of brutal that way. Mm-hmm. For troops, I have 2 squads of 9 blood claws in drop pods with a Wolfguard pack leader.
Awesome.
And they're just plain close combat kit. Nothing special there. And I have 1 squad of Grey Hunters. That's 9 Grey Hunters and a Wolfguard pack leader. The Grey Hunters have chainsaws and bolt pistols and bolters. And the Wolfguard has Power Maul and Storm Shield. Nice. They're in a drop pod just because, all the Blood Claws and Grey Hunters are supposed to be dropped right in the middle of the action and just hopefully tear stuff to pieces. And to round off the list, we need something to punch armor. And, well, what better tool to use for that than Long Fangs? So I got a squad of Long Fangs with a Long Fang Ancient, a regular Long Fang, and 2 Long Fangs with las cannons.
Awesome. I love the fact that you can take pretty much as many Long Fangs as you want in a squad. You don't have to take a minimum squad of 5 because they've kind of been whittled down so much over time that it's just a couple guys sitting on a hill grumpily shooting dudes with las cannons.
Yeah, I really like that they actually turn Long Fangs down to a minimum squad size of 2, simply because they're old, they probably don't have many people left from their original packs, and they're old, they're grumpy, people don't really like to hang around with them.
Who has time to make new friends?
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Yeah, so I think that the small Long Fang squads is actually quite nice. The one thing that really bugs me, and this is a point that really Preben made me aware of, is that the Blood Claw squads are a minimum of 5.
Mm-hmm.
That I do find a little bit weird, considering their fluff. Blood Claws really should have a minimum squad size of 10, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're supposed to be like the freshly minted Space Wolves, and they're still young, there's still a pack of, say, 10 to 15 instead of 5 to 15.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
The Grey Hunters, I feel it's okay to have a 5 to 10 squad, but not so much the Blood Claws.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you there, actually. I mean, I can see instances where you want to tell a story like, oh, this Blood Claw unit has been whittled down a little bit, or some kind of weird storyline thing. But if you're going to be actually taking a fresh squad of Blood Claws, I would say impose upon yourself a minimum of 10 on there.
Yeah.
All right. So I like your list, man. I think that really reflects that kind of force that's sent to kind of cut the head or harry a flank or something like that, doing a kind of a hunt for a broken enemy, something like that. I think that's really cool.
So to just clarify, that was a 743 point list. I guess I could have dropped a melt-a-bomb in there somewhere, but
yeah, give one of those sergeants a melt-a-bomb and you're good.
Yeah, probably get a guy with probably the Grey Hunter sergeant.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I love the fact that he has a storm shield and a power maul. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of power axes. Power axes are really good. Power swords are also really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like the visual look of, it's like the visual feel of a power maul. It's like a big maul, it's not a hammer. It's just like a big clump of something heavy on the end of a stick.
Yeah, you could basically make it. You could make one out of almost anything. Do I have a skull sitting around? Okay, I'll just put a skull at the end of a stick and call it a power maul and paint it gold.
Yeah, for example.
All right, so that's cool. I went a little different. I went with a 1,500 point list. And I've been looking at the fluff. I've been looking at Space Wolf fluff for the past month and a half. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the individualistic nature of each of the great companies. And one of them was interesting. It was Kjarl Grimblood's great company. Kjarl Grimbled is reputed to be able to see visions in the fire, and he reveres fire greatly. So he's almost seen to be almost heretical to some of the Space Wolves, but his great company reveres fire, and they use a lot of flamer weapons. This bit of fluff is almost breaks that independent characters rule of the Melta planet almost, or the Melta planet, where all my guys have Melta because Melta. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. So we start with Kjarl Grimblood. I found some old stats for him. I think he actually used to be an actual character you could take. So he's got the war gear that was laid out for him in those old sources. He's got a bolt pistol, runic armor, frost sword, and he's my warlord. Runic armor is basically the same as artificial armor, except you have a 6+ invulnerable save. For as his bodyguard, I have a squad of Wolfguard Terminators. Now I love how you can have such a mixture of individuality in this Wolfguard unit. I think that is really fluffy. I have a Terminator leader who I gave a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, but then I have another Terminator with a heavy flamer and a power sword. Then I have another two Terminators. Each of those guys have frost axes because I would just love to model that.
Yeah,
I might model it with flames instead of frost though. What do you think? It goes against like the fluff of the frost weapon, but it goes with the fluff of the great company. So I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you do have a point there actually. But what about if you're doing them with flames? Maybe make the flames in shades of blue, as in it's like.
Oh, Snar, you're so smart. Then I have
it's a bit like it's the Norwegian compromise.
The Norwegian compromise is and then I have a fifth Wolfguard Terminator with a power sword and combi flamer, so that unit has 2 flamers in it. They are in a Land Raider Redeemer with a multi-melta. Land Raider Redeemer, if anybody remembers, has a 12 capacity and flamestorm cannons on the sponsons.
Oh yes, so heavy flamers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I eventually build my Firehawks completely up to where they're supposed to be, then yes, they will be rocking Redeemers.
Nice. Yeah, and the funny thing about the Redeemer is, like, since those flamestorm cannons are on sponsons, and it has the power of the machine spirit, it really lends itself to just jamming the tank into the enemy and turning on the jets.
Yeah, just make sure that you put the flamers on the front entrance instead of the rear one, simply because then it's closer to the enemy and your guys don't have to run through the flame to get out of it.
Yeah. So I think that's a lot of fun. I think that unit is really cool. Like I'm going to zoom forward and put flamers down, and hopefully and hopefully that'll work. um, Kind of flanking that land raider, we have 2 rhinos full of gray hunters. Each of the squads has 5 close combat weapons. I didn't load them out completely because of points issues, and each of those squads also has 2 flamers. Each of those squads is led by a wolf guard pack leader. One of them has melta bombs and 2 wolf claws, and that's awesome. I love the double wolf claws. 30 points, who cares? I don't care. It's like so many attacks at strength 5 AP3 with shred. I think that's awesome. And the other wolf guard pack leader has melta bombs and a frost sword. So he's got almost the same offensive capability as the pack leader. He just doesn't look as awesome when he's doing it. Each of the rhinos has a dozer blade because that's how I roll.
Yeah, dozer blades are quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the chance of them actually failing that difficult terrain test quite small, but it's always nice to reroll it if you ever have that accidentally rolling one thing.
Yeah, especially for tanks especially for Space Wolves, where I want to get up close. I'm like, I want to get up there, turn on my flamers, waste a unit, and then assault the next turn.
We have a guy in the club. He plays Deathwing all the time.
Yeah,
he has this. I guess it's starting to become more or less the rule for him. If he puts down a Land Raider, you can bet that in turn 1, it breaks down. He tries to drive it through buildings, over craters, into alleys, whatever. And every single time it's like, vroom, oh, rolled a 1. Never fails.
So yeah, these Grey Hunters are going to be up in the business. So they need. I think Space Wolf Rhinos, they should just be stock with a dozer blade, because if you're not taking a dozer blade, then your Space Wolves are probably not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that is getting up in there and kicking butt. And one of those Wolf Guard units has a Wolf Standard, because that's awesome. That's a beautiful image, especially when you have so many joining the battle. I'm sure Wolf Standard is pretty common. Also, along with that giant Vanguard force, we have Predator Infernus, which is from Imperial Armor. It's a Predator that has a Flamestorm cannon on the turret, and I also bought the heavy bolter sponson so I could take some pot shots as I advance up the field. Running behind those models is a pack of 14 Blood Claws with a Wolf Guard pack leader. He's just got a regular bolt pistol chainsword. That unit really is just there as a counter assault. They pretty much fall upon anybody who the Grey Hunters have softened up for them. I wouldn't be surprised if if I were to use them as kind of a flanking force too. For them to go and take care of a unit by themselves. That would also be a good use for them. Last and probably also least is a Whirlwind. I don't know if there's anything in the Codex that says fiery death more than a Whirlwind dropping large pie plates onto the enemy of ignores cover incendiary action.
I like it. It's very similar to my or it's very similar to the idea behind the Firehawks that I'm building. It's a lot of fire.
Nice.
But I guess your guys are probably not quite as extremely overzealous, fanatically crazies as mine are. Because, Firehawks not really the good guys at all, even though they're loyal.
Well, loyal does not mean good, especially in 40K.
They are, I guess they're kind of loyal to a fault, because they are definitely not right in their heads.
So I think with these guys, I think it's similar. Have you ever seen the old Space Wolves from the starter box with the orcs? I think it's this 3rd edition box or 2nd edition box.
No, that's way before I was ever really into 40k. Sorry,
my buddy Jarrell had had that box. He like gave me a bunch of the orcs.
Jor-El?
Yeah, his name is Jarrell. Yeah, he didn't name his son Kal-El because his wife had a say in the naming of the child. But
nerds.
So Jarrell had some space wolves, and they were actually modeled with flames on them. So I'm thinking like I would do something similar here with this unit, where I'd actually put like 80s style flames on the rhinos and the other vehicles, and flames on their shoulder pads or something. I think that would be fun. And annoying to some people, but I don't care.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't become too busy, flame it up.
Yeah. So I think we've kind of proven that building fluffy. I think the Games Workshop design studio has really knocked it out of the park as far as the Codex is concerned, and the ability to really reflect a Space Wolf, the Space Wolf fluff on the tabletop.
Definitely. If you want to, you have 12 great companies to choose from, and if you want to have a lot of wolves, then you can choose one of the great companies that have a lot of wolves. And the Codex really builds up under the idea that you can actually build pretty much any kind of list you want and still keep it fluffy if you want.
Yeah, there's even like a first company detachments, like the entire Champions of Fenris supplement is built around the idea of creating this first company elite force, and you can do that too. There's nothing in these books that stops you from building the army that you want with your Space Wolves. And if all else fails, you always have Unbound to fall back on.
So from a guy who doesn't make Space Wolf lists on a daily basis, I'm actually pretty happy about the list I made, and I'm also really liking the list that Adam made.
Thanks, man.
I think we covered pretty much everything there is to say about the Codex, short of the whole let's game this for tournaments. And
we can leave that to others, I think. I hope we can do more segments like this in the future, but we'll see how the tides turn in the future.
Yeah, it will probably follow another book, because that's when it's most fun to do these things.
Right.
So, well, I guess that the listeners will just have to cross their fingers and hope that we'll do another book to gaming to supplement.
So Snorri.
Yeah. What?
How about we read that Yarick Imperial Creed book by David Annandale?
Oh, I want to read more Space Wolves.
Come on,
actually, I really need to. Finish that Wolves of Fenris book, and once I do that, I really need to get started on Stormcaller. After that, unless I get distracted, which is quite likely, Imperial Creed is very high on my to-do list.
Nice, because Canon has Sethano, right?
Yes, I know.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a break and then come back and close out the show.
For all you wargamers out there listening, with boxes and boxes of unpainted miniatures, collecting dust and getting the stink eye from your significant other, one man is on a mission, nay, a quest to help you out. The page is called the 1 Hour Army, and it's about getting the most out of your painting time, no matter your skill level. Being privy to some insider info, we know there's an ebook in production and many tutorials on the way. Once again, the 1 Hour Army, find it on Facebook.
Oh, that's it, man. That's it for the show today. And, we hope that you continue to share the adventures of the Filka Fenrika with us on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Masters of the Forge.
And maybe you can check out Adam's ramblings on Twitter. I think that was a Master of Forge at Twitter.
Yes, and please go to iTunes, where you can now find us by searching for Warhammer or 40K, and give us a nice review there, because that super duper helps us out with our standings among the other podcasts out there.
And if you're not completely tired of us talking about Adepticon and you're going there yourself, feel free to stop by and say hi.
Yeah, we're more than happy to how do you do and shake hands. I'm not sure how many games we'll be able to get in with listeners. We're going to be pretty busy, but we'll definitely be more than happy to say hi to folks and chat with everybody, because that's really what this is all about. It's about building a community and meeting new people and having a great time, you know?
And killing them.
Yeah, no, well, killing their plastic soldiers, Snorri. Killing their plastic soldiers.
Oh, do you have to limit the
was that a Freudian slip? Do we need to get that in post?
No, I think people can understand what we mean.
Yeah. Until Snorri stuffs your body into a mailbox.
Play the game the way the mailbox wants you to.
The gender neutral box.
Oh,
mailbox.
Okay, let's just stop here before this gets out of control.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.